Thanks for joining us. Getting your buzz on In Sobriety with Tony and David. 20, 30-minute podcast, just sharing our experience, strength, and hope in recovery. Very excited for you to join us. This is our second podcast. If you have any suggestions or topics you'd love for us to discuss, email us at buzzoninsobriety@gmail.com. All right, let's get going. We live now.
Right on.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, this is Get Your Buzz On In Sobriety. I'm Tony.
I'm David.
And we're here just talking about how can we have so much fun and be sober at the same time.
Is that possible?
I didn't think it was when I started. That was my biggest fear. I do like what we were talking about earlier when you were saying that this program isn't just for people that have addiction, it's for anybody.
Yeah.
Because it's how you can live your life happy, joyous, and free and separate the material from the spiritual.
Yeah.
How do you make your life better without just getting more stuff?
Well, how do you convince me that isn't getting a new Mercedes a bigger buzz and helping some drunk come out of a rehab or pick some asshole up and take him to a meeting? How's that going to make me feel good?
Right. Satisfaction is the thing we're all missing. That's why we kept doing what we were doing, because we wanted that satisfaction. And being with yourself, you don't get satisfied. You have to work with others.
Yeah.
And only by helping others do I find satisfaction. I don't find satisfaction in buying something, whatever it is.
I do initially. It's a big hit. As soon as I got it, I'm like, oh, I feel so good.
And then it goes in the closet with everything else.
And then I'm picking up my mother-in-law to go throw it out in the trash, huh? Fighting her to make sure it goes to the right bin.
Exactly right. Exactly right. It's a true story that when you first get into sobriety, especially guys like us, we didn't have anything.
No.
We were homeless, right?
How much did you have when you got in here? I mean, you and I got in here at a similar age in our life, right?
I was 28.
God, I was 26.
And I got here with a box that had a hard hat, a Rush CD, a boom box, and 2 pairs of pants.
Rush CD. You saw the Rush CD?
I still have the Rush CD. Yes, I do. The Rush CD Presto, I still have. As a matter of fact, It's on display to remind me of where I came from. I think
so good. We're so lucky.
And when we first get sober and we get things like clothes and little things that we took for granted, and we're grateful, right? Yeah. And then as we get older and more time in the program, you realize that less is more.
Yeah.
Having more stuff just doesn't make you feel better. Having less stuff actually frees me up, less to worry about. I heard this lady talk about your clothes and your stuff. If it doesn't make you go every time you see it, you probably don't need it.
Ship it.
Yeah. And we've been thinning for years, and it's wonderful not to have all that crap to worry about.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. No. Well, and I think about, coming into this program, I picked my first sponsor because he had a Mercedes, and it's like, okay, that guy
must be working.
That guy must be working.
I want what he has.
I want what he's got, starting with the car and the job. He was traveling, and I go, oh, wow, that's, I was stuck at a restaurant.
Yeah.
Looking at the same 5 people every day, and I'd go home and I'd rip my clothes off in anger and why is my life so bad? And
how's his so good?
How is his so good? And I guess I'll keep coming to these meetings. And then you guys kept saying, love and service, like go be a service, get out of myself, just do the action and I'll feel different, and I just didn't believe it until I guess you guys kept saying it enough. I said, all right, I'll try it. All right. And guess what? I felt great.
The hardest thing for people, the hardest thing for me, I kept thinking that I could think my way into better actions. What I needed to learn, and this program taught me, is shut up and get in the car and you'll act your way into better thinking. I had to keep doing things that were inherently disproportionate to what I thought I should do in reverse. Why do I need to go to a meeting? Why should I get there early? Why do I have to set up the coffee?
You've been to enough.
Right. What is the deal?
There's no new information at the meeting.
Right.
Right?
And how come I have to get there an hour early and make coffee for all these people that are ungrateful?
Because you're going to have a serendipitous encounter with somebody that may be their first meeting or whatever it is, and they're confused, and you're the hand of AA.
And especially when I was new, I had people with years of sobriety giving me nuggets that I didn't even realize were nuggets at the time.
Yeah,
and you realize, oh, a lot of sobriety happens before and after the meeting, not just in the meeting.
Yeah.
And the real bonding can happen over a meal, can happen over a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
But if you're not of service and you're not there for that, you miss that.
Yeah.
But when all you think about is, no, I've got a plan. I got to work my plan. I worked my plan for 11 years and it got me homeless. But I still wanted to work my plan.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until somebody told me, hey, it's broken. What's that? Your brain. Just follow these actions and your brain will learn to behave differently. That's the hardest thing for most people coming in is they still think they can control it. You have to let go of the wheel. Just get on the bus, sit in the back and shut up.
Yeah.
And that's hard when you want to control everything.
Yeah, I know. Well, and what's so insidious and evil about alcoholism is even with the terrible results we're getting, in the back of the brain, it's like, no, this is part of the plan.
It's going to work.
Are you sure, dude? I mean, here I am, on my third DUI, I'm moving to this part of Mexico. This is the best part of your plan, and you're going to leave this situation? Yeah, that's all I got. And only in Alcoholics Anonymous has said, I think you should rethink that plan a little bit.
Right.
And that's the only reason I'm still here today. I mean, oh my God, it's a beautiful day in Huntington Beach today, and I'm sitting with my friend Tony, and talking about getting my buzz on in sobriety. It's like I was telling you earlier. It's like I woke up in my bed the other day, and I was like, I had the dogs on me, and the kids were playing, and my wife's in the kitchen, and coming out to the yard, I was going, I'm the king. And I was not the king when I got in here.
No, you were not.
I was whipping myself.
Yeah.
I felt so terrible about myself.
Right.
And now I get to have it because of these beautiful steps.
It's true.
And I
think gratuity, when you become grateful, you stop with the resentments. Instead of wanting what other people have, you learn to want what you have. And you need to understand that not everybody has everything, and what you think is important really isn't.
Yeah.
I look at the people that are famous that are dead from OD.
I know.
You take Michael Jackson. He's a billionaire.
Yeah.
He died alone with the doctor giving him drugs.
Sad.
But he's a billionaire. So do I want what he has? No.
Yeah.
I go down the list to John Belushi and others that have owed, Tom Petty, all OD'd, all rich, all famous, all dead.
Yeah.
So when you look at people with money and you think, oh, they have it made, they don't.
Yeah. Well, envy's what? Why do they call envy the green-eyed monster?
That's true. And to me, you can't serve two masters, right?
Yeah.
If you serve money, then you sacrifice everything else. To me, you have to have a higher power and you serve others and you stay in check. When you get some time, you've got over 20 years, I've got over 30 years, you start to believe your own press, and you can't. And I'm always reminded when I see newcomers, my God, I was right there. I was at Charlie Street the other day, which is an indigent recovery house out here where you go when you have nowhere else to go. And there's a guy in there, he was shaking so bad and hallucinating, and it brought me right back to February 2nd, 1991 when I walked in going, I need my pain. I need to remember this.
Yeah, absolutely.
And stay grateful.
Yeah.
And not get into the, well, how come he has this and I don't?
Mm-hmm.
What is he doing?
Or there's another friend out in AA out here in Orange County, and he's got 50 plus years, and he's kind of broke financially. He's like, I've been waiting for my financial, payoff, and it hasn't happened. But you could see it causing him a little bit of pain, and I'm just reminded of, I don't want to let up on this spiritual program, I still have a ways to go. I still have so much farther to learn and stay humble, because I'm gonna use other things to get my buzz on, not this spiritual help.
Right.
And I think it's really fascinating how I heard this in a meeting this morning and I loved it. He was saying it's a pilot light. That little pilot light's still lit. That disease is still there. I don't know whether I'm going to feed it or not.
It's exactly right. And you can't allow yourself to stop doing what got you here. This is the other problem is you get some time and you think, well, I can go to a few less meetings. I can be a little less of service. I don't really need to sponsor people because I'm doing so well. No, you're not. There's no neutral. That's the other thing. One of the things my sponsor first told me was, hey, you're either moving up the escalator or down the escalator. There's no standing still. The escalator's always moving. That's the escalator of life. So either you get better every day or you get worse.
Yeah.
And I always thought, well, I'll just take the day off. It's okay. But taking the day off is getting worse.
Yeah. Well, I said that to a recent newcomer, and he goes, what are you talking about? He goes, I'll arrive. And I'll go, you have not read the material, Bill's story.
Right. You missed that
There's
part.
a very clear portion of that we do not arrive here.
No.
But I mean, and what I find now is it's like, just share the information with love and a kind heart. Because, like you said, you don't know what really sticks to each other. You know,
Right.
these words.
Some hit, some don't.
Some hit, some don't. And I try to remember now, especially, it's like with love, it always is going to hit. I'll feel good about doing it. Not so
Right.
much my own issue of I need to teach you a lesson or
No.
why don't you get it, kid? And no, dude. Because, I mean, how many times, before you got in here, how many times did mommy, daddy, kids, or no kids, but
A
your
thousand.
buddies tell you had a problem with alcohol?
1,000 or more.
And did it work?
No, just maybe drink more. I'll show you. Every time somebody said I had a problem, I'd have another shot and go, I ain't got no problem. Give me 2 more. I'll show you a problem. Yeah, that was not it. And you can't get there until you're ready.
Yeah.
I had to be ready, and I had to have a moment of clarity. And it took a lot. And I burned a lot of bridges working my plan full steam ahead. So I think that's the other part of this program is I think as bad as you are is as good as you can become. The circle is big for some people. Some people go really, really low. And those are the people I think can go really, really high versus the people that don't really experience a lot of despair and anger, but want to get sober and then they just don't embrace the program enough to get that happy, joyous, and free. Yeah, I don't regret all the things that I did. They're unfortunate, but I couldn't get where I am today without doing those things.
Yeah, and that's such a mysterious concept because again, I remember hearing that, and it's like, well, no, I'm ashamed of saying that. I'm ashamed of those feelings, and you guys gave me permission to share those feelings.
Yeah,
and you
take
see,
the
that's
power
what's
out.
so beautiful about it because in my business classes I took in Fullerton, there, the sharing of feelings brought on, as a young man, ridicule, or you're not man enough, or you're not, pushing yourself enough to
Right.
get what is really important. And I was reading again, you're talking about suicide, a 78-year-old guy, he's got a couple B's in the bank, and he took himself out in the bathroom with a gun. And I just read that again. What is he, 78? You don't want to spend time with your grandkids? I mean, he was a good-looking, healthy
What
guy.
could be so wrong?
What can be so wrong? And I'm again brought back to that spiritual itch.
Sure. Money
that
does
can
not
never
make you healthy.
Yeah, it's a tool, and we need it. But it builds schools and all that stuff, but hospitals. But I could see where, again, if I put the main thing, everything else in my life just falls in line.
Right.
And
Yeah, I
get
agree.
repeated over and over again. And
And as we move on and we get older, now we have kids, we have families. And again, your priority has to change to who am I serving, right? I got to take care of my family, take care of my wife and my kids. But overall, I need to have that spiritual foundation to realize that I'm still not driving anything.
yeah.
I'm doing the next indicated step. I'm not shirking responsibility. I'm trying to stay balanced. As my wife asked me one time after about 10 years of sobriety, she goes, why do you go to so many meetings? I said, one of them keeps me sober. She says, which one? I said, you tell me, I'll drop the other ones. She goes, well, I don't know. And I said, why don't we just keep doing what we're doing? And now she gets that.
Yeah.
Same thing with sponsorship. Why do you talk to alcoholics every day? To remind yourself and work in the fellowship, and you never know when somebody needs an ear.
Absolutely. Well, and think you and I can change, our lives change in a moment. There was a moment of that in a conversation. And I feel like that's what has been lacking in COVID. And I'm so glad we're back in person because you mentioned, that meeting before the meeting and after the meeting. We were missing that in COVID times.
Oh, yeah.
And that serendipitous engagement. And over a dinner, you may strike up a friendship that'll last 20 years. That's been missing. And
That's
I
right.
feel like we're all
You're
hurting
exactly
for that.
right.
And we need that back.
So I was at Costco yesterday, and they took down all the plastic dividers.
Yeah, I saw that.
And
Same.
I said to one of the managers, I said, oh my God, thank you so much. And she says, why? I said, because you're acknowledging that we're getting back to normal. This separation of humans is stopping. Now I understand COVID, you can have your feelings on COVID,
Yeah.
but never in the history of man have we segregated humans the way we did with COVID. And especially with our children and the social distancing and the masking and everything, it has an effect on people's psyche. I know it had a big effect on mine.
Same.
And if I couldn't go to meetings in person, I was lucky enough to live by the beach and go to some outdoor meetings for 2 years, I would have gone crazy. And I didn't realize how much sharing time with an alcoholic face-to-face keeps me centered.
Yep.
And when
Same.
we lost that, I went crazy with the Zoom because it just wasn't fulfilling to me.
Yeah.
I couldn't touch you. I couldn't reach out to you. I couldn't see you. And most of the time, people on the Zoom are doing other things, and they're like there in just picture only.
Yeah. Right.
I'm so grateful that we've moved past that and back to one alcoholic helping another. And whatever your disease is, you can put whatever in front of the second A, whether overeating, sex, drugs, rock and roll. It doesn't matter to us because it's our buzz on in sobriety. You can do this, just one person sharing their problem with another. We have common ground.
Yeah.
I don't need to be an overeater to understand what obsession and a disease is. And if a little's good, a lot's better. Same thing with sex and drugs and speed and all of that. Hey, we've all been in various stages of things. It's the same principles as what we're trying to say that transcend all of that.
Yeah.
So whatever your issue is, you could just be feeling sad and wondering why you're not feeling satisfied. You might want to look at what you do.
Yeah.
Do you only serve yourself? Well, that's a lonely place to be.
Yeah. Well, and I always find so fascinating is through that face-to-face interaction, I truly see myself. Because when you share your feelings, my feelings become more clear. I think that's what's so interesting and cloudy about the disease. The disease wants you to hide. The disease wants you to hold on to your old life. I remember hearing in my early meetings, it's like you have to change everything. Mm-hmm. And you're just like, what are you talking about? I'm not going to change everything. I'm going to leave a little bit of this, and I'm going to still be a wine steward. And
I'm going to bartend on the weekends.
I'm going to bartend on the weekends. They're like, no, you got to change the whole thing. And it seems so contrarian, especially at a free, organic meeting of a bunch of people that are just hanging out, that your life must die to get a new life, to get a brand new life. And you go, well, I don't know what that life's going to look like. So I see newcomers and myself. I took about 9 months in AA after DUIs to believe that new life is there for me. Because I'd still hold on to the old and I'd drink again.
Because that's all I know.
30 days I know. Right, exactly. And I go, I proved it again. I'm still stuck.
Yeah.
And only until another drunk really held my hand and go, look, dude, I did it. You can do it. And here's the new life. Here's a glimmer of it. And I can't even recognize my life now.
Right. And I agree. I think when I started, the people in my life that I thought were all hip, slick, and cool were not helping my life. And this is the thing that I've learned is that everybody has a cell phone now. When I got sober, there were no cell phones. So it was easier for me to take a piece of paper that had 10 bad numbers on it of people that sold bad things to me and throw it away. Yeah. Well, now with the cell phone, it's very difficult. So when I work with newcomers, I ask them, let's look at your phone. Who's this? Who's that? Who's this? We're deleting him. Oh, well, I might need him later. He only sells poison. Why would you keep him in your phone? Let's put numbers in there of people that'll help you, not people that'll hurt you. Oh my God, that is the hardest thing for these kids to do.
Yeah. And
social
media.
Yeah.
Delete them off Instagram. Delete them off Facebook.
I'm so grateful that, but back in my day, we didn't have drugs delivered. Now you could go online apparently and get drugs delivered to you.
Pills and
everything,
whatever.
And you don't know what's in the pills. Oh. At least in our day, you knew what you were getting pretty much. Now, a little fentanyl, see ya.
Yeah.
I've had a couple kids that died that I've sponsored because they got fentanyl instead of whatever else they were getting. Yeah. And it's like Russian roulette.
Yeah.
And I'm scared for these kids today because it isn't like it used to be. Now it is so potent what's going on, and it's so accessible more than ever. Back in the day, you had to know somebody, you had to have your cash, you couldn't use a debit card, there was no Bitcoin, there was no social media to pull it on.
Hide. It was easier to hide in that way. Yeah.
Now it's right in front of you. My daughter was showing me this site, I guess, that delivers marijuana as their cover, but they deliver everything right to your door, and they take a credit card.
All they want's the money.
I'm stunned.
Yeah.
And that's today in America.
Yeah.
And you have to fight that. For me, the easiest thing to do was say I threw away all my connects. I just got to stay out of the liquor store for a while. And I got enough time with some people that held my hand enough and kept me close and wouldn't let me wander that I could understand that my life was getting better.
Yeah.
And I tell people, if I could give you 5 years of sobriety, you would never drink or use again because you'd see how wonderful your life is. But that first 8, 9 months or a year when you're turning over these people and turning over your bad habits to good ones and getting out of your comfort zone of being alone to sharing with other people, to hugging other people, I don't know about you, but when I came in here and that first time Glenn gave me a hug,
no, I didn't like
it
me
was
hugging.
like the skunk and the cat in that cartoon where I'm trying to squirm away, and the more I did, the longer he held me. It must have been 15 seconds, felt like 15 minutes.
Well, it felt like a foreign country. My first meeting I went to in Fullerton, Alano Club, or whatever it was, in Malvern, it was all Harley Davidson guys and all the bikes, and here I am, a little clean-cut, 22-year-old kid in the back row, and they were hugging and kissing and having a good time, but they were happy. Forget about the Harleys, forget about the leather jackets, and that wasn't all that, but they were very affectionate. And I didn't really come with a very affectionate home. So I saw that as a foreign country. I was visiting this.
What the hell's going on?
I was visiting this foreign.
Who are you
these
people?
two men gave a really impassioned hug, and it was love. It was friendship, and I just didn't. It was so uncomfortable.
I couldn't relate to that.
I could not understand. It was like a foreign language, and only over time and repeated exposure did I realize that's what I was desperately wanting.
Yes.
And I did. And when when my heart was full of love, I didn't run down to Wine Club to go do the latest samples.
Right. I agree with you that if you come from where we came from, which you didn't show emotion and you didn't have affection and you didn't show love, and you walk into a meeting where you see these guys that are very masculine or very established and they're hugging and they're laughing and they're kidding around and you're like, what world am I in? Who are you people? Why is everybody so damn happy?
Yeah.
And it took me a long time to understand the happiness train and get my buzz on in sobriety.
Yeah.
And then once you turn that corner and you realize, wait,
it's so good.
I can do anything I want as long as I don't do this.
Yeah.
And I can have fun and
Yeah.
be of service. Somebody asked me at a meeting the other day, how come you have so much fun, but you take it so seriously? And I said, this is the basis of who I am. This is my rock, is sobriety.
Just like drugs and alcohol were the basis of you and your Rush tape. Am I right?
Exactly
Wasn't
right.
that the basis of your life?
That was my life was focused on.
Number one.
How am I going to get it? Where do I get the dough to get it? What's today look like? That was as short as my day went.
And all Alcoholics Anonymous is, it replaces that. End
Right.
of story, end of podcast. I mean, how much we're going to say that over and over again.
Yeah, it's
in
exactly
so many
right.
different ways, but it's coming out of our heart. All of this is. It's bubbling out. Yeah.
If you want what we have and you can't tell that we love what we do, I don't know how to make it better for you. But as David said, end of story, end of podcast, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, Tony.
Thank you, sir.